So, welcome everybody. Today we are going to be hosting our first event as Lives for Literacy. We are going to be commemorating World Literacy Day today with a lovely discussion panel we've organized to recognize the impact of literacy education in all of our lives. Today is going to be an opportunity for all of us to reflect, recognize, and highlight the importance of literacy education. And in our humble opinion, we believe that the best way to learn about literacy education and to reflect on literacy education is to hear people's stories and learn from their own individual experience. So, welcome everyone. We are so excited to have you here. Please, once again, if you would not like to be on camera or would like any audio recorded, please leave your mics and cameras off and use the live chat function as much as you'd like. And for now, please keep all mics muted. We will have a portion where you all can unmute, ask questions, reflect with us. However, for now, we would like our panelists to shine, and we would like to limit all background noise. So, a quick introduction. Who are we? Lives for Literacy is a grassroots movement dedicated to the eradicating of illiteracy, and raising awareness to the beauty of education. We are currently based out of Montreal, Canada, but as you can see, we are here to work with you worldwide. So now I'm going to hand this over really quickly to our fearless leader, our founder and president, Yasmin.
Okay. Hi guys, I'm Yasmin. I'm the president and founder of Lives for Literacy, as states president of what the organization is about, eradicating illiteracy. So thank you all for attending this panel, and I hope you enjoy it.
And I am your director of events for this year. I am the one who's been bombarding you on all social media platforms and emailing you constantly about today. And I would just like to extend my thanks and my gratitude to everyone here for joining us. This is going to be an amazing opportunity for each and every single one of us. And now I'd like to introduce one of our rock stars on the team, Kelly.
Hello, hi. I'm one of the exec members, and I'm a social media coordinator, so I take care of all the postings on all the social media platforms. And thank you so much for everyone, both the panelists and the attendees, for taking the initiative to learn more.
So, in Canada, I know not everyone here today is from Canada and might not know this. In Canada, one of our biggest things right now is moving towards reconciliation with the Indigenous peoples in Canada. So, a part of that small step toward reconciliation, civil organizations take it upon themselves to acknowledge the land. It helps show our respect for the land and the traditions that Indigenous people have started hundreds, thousands of years ago. And in doing this, we give our respect to their relationship with the land and their traditions. And because we are based out of Montreal, today we are choosing to acknowledge the land in which Montreal sits on. We would like to begin today's event by acknowledging the traditional lands in which we operate, which are the unceded territory of the Mohawk, a place that has long served as a site of meeting and exchange among the nations. If anyone has any questions about land acknowledgement or reconciliation in Canada, please feel free to ask questions. We will have resources that we can provide for you. This is just one small step towards reconciliation in Canada, and we are happy to play our part. So, why are we here today? I will let Yasmin take over at this point.
Okay, so as it says in the PowerPoint, in 1966, the UNESCO marked the first World Literacy Day in order to declare and highlight the importance of education. The goal of this day is to highlight the importance of literacy education and involvement in communities and societies. So currently right now, there are 775 million adults that lack the education that is required to be considered literate, and 60.7 million children are out of school, which is sad, and which is why Lives for Literacy has spring forth to help lower this or help make an impact, a positive change. And yeah, next slide. Okay, So from the SDGs, we are focused on goal number 4, which is quality education. And what that means is that it's to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education. So education is a human right and a force of change. The goal ensures that all girls and boys are in school and capable of, from primary to secondary school, by 2030. We aim to provide equal access to trainings and eliminate gender disparities. As you know, girls are more than boys are deprived from attaining an education, which shouldn't be the case. So next slide. And the goal, as I said. So in May 2015, the goal was adopted. The Einstein Declaration ensures the commitment of the members to move towards an inclusive and equitable quality education. And then in September 2015, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development was approved and adopted by member states of the UN Sustainable Development Summit. November 2015, Education 2030 Framework and Act for Action, giving targets to development of goal number 4 of education. So that you can see is like 5 years old. And then these are the targets. So school environment, scholarships, teachers, technical and vocational skills, quality tertiary education, quality early childhood education, development, care and pre-primary education, youth and adult literacy and numeracy, equal access to all levels of education and training for the vulnerable, free, equitable, and quality primary and secondary education. Yes. Next. Okay. So, do you want to go, Sian?
Yep. So why are we here today? Using the information that we just gave you and hearing our wonderful panelists speak, we hope today will be an amazing opportunity for each one of you here to reflect and learn more about the way literacy education impacts us and the role it plays on our lives. Your job today is to think about the journeys, their stories, and reflect on your own life. What role has literacy played in your own life? What have you taken for granted? What have you worked for in terms of literacy? And we hope that our wonderful panelists, whom we will be introducing soon, and they will be sharing their stories with you, will be able to help you all reflect and highlight literacy education wherever you are today. So now we are going to turn this over to our wonderful panelists. They will introduce themselves as we go along, and they will share their stories, what they're working for in terms of literacy education. And I hope you find them as amazing as we do, because they are some wonderful and exceptional individuals. So first up is Stanley. Stanley's going on mute. You can take it away.
Thank you, Sian. Thank you, everyone. Welcome every day. Welcome today because today is the International Literacy Day. So we are celebrating literacy in people's life, and everyone has a story with literacy. And today we are here to discuss and to reflect about this. So what I want you to know today is that literacy plays a vital role in everyone's life. And as it is highlighted in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the Article 26 highlighted that everyone has the right to a good education. So, what can we what can we see now? We notice that all around the world there are a lot of bunch of countries where people has no literacy, and what is the cause of that? What is the main cause? So this is a question that I don't have the answer. Maybe you could answer that question. So my story with literacy, uh, I'm going to talk a little bit about my story about with literacy. And first, I just want you to be patient with me because I don't really speak English, so I wanted to be I really wanted to be part of that webinar so that I could share my story with you. And first, before starting, I am Stanley, and I'm from Haiti. I have a background in history and geography. So I I remember when I was still a little kid, my mom always wanted me to study and to do my homework just after school. Whereas I always wanted to take some free time to rest or to play, but she was stick to it. She really stuck. She was really consistent, and she really wanted me to do that because she wanted me to be um, somewhere in the society, not to be like, because we know that someone with no literacy doesn't really have the same chance as someone with literacy. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. So my mom wanted that, but I didn't know why. I always want I want I always question myself to know why she wanted me to have literacy, to be able to read and write. So I finally understood that when I got into university, I noticed that this is the reason why my mom wanted me to be to stick to my study. It's because she wanted me to be someone in the society. Because here in Haiti, when we live in a country where there's access to school is limited, and there's a few people who go to school and have literacy, it is very difficult for someone to have literacy here in Haiti, as it is not the case in Canada or in Europe and some countries in Europe. So in Haiti, it is very difficult. And we have the literacy rate is about 61%. It is very, um, it is not even the average of 90% of countries in Latin America. The literacy rate in Haiti, it is 61%. So you can see that a lot of the majority of the population cannot read, and that's why we have those kind of governments sometimes, because the people, the leaders, they play on that. They they um, they give money to people to buy their vote so that they can be elected, because they know the people cannot read, doesn't really don't know their rights. So for that reason, they pay people to vote for them, and this is a big trouble. And as an educator, I've worked in several education. I've worked in several organizations with young people. I involve myself to educate people, and what I notice is that the young people, they always complain about the school they go to. They cannot have teachers. Teachers cannot go to teach them because private school they don't pay the teachers. So for that reason, teachers don't go to teach their classes. And why? I think the major the reason is because the state doesn't do its job. The state doesn't provide things for for school to function. And we can see that the coronavirus has worsened things. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected the educational system worldwide, leading to near closing of all schools, universities, college. Most governments around the world have temporarily closed educational institutions in an attempt to contain the COVID-19. Here in Haiti, the situation was similar, and we can see that a lot of students they they stayed at home. They couldn't go to school because of coronavirus. But whereas in some other country, even physical school were closed, students still continue with their study online, distant learning. And now I can say that we are all affected by the coronavirus. What is going to be the future of education and in some more years? because coronavirus is still there. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley.
Thank you, Stanley. It was very wonderful to hear you speak. Next up, we have Salim.
Hello, guys. Uh, I'm glad that all of you are here today, commemorating the World Literacy Day. I'm grateful to Stanley, and his story is very well touching. And before I start, I'd just like to mention the heroes of literacy. My main heroes of literacy are Nelson Mandela and Kofi Annan. And when Nelson Mandela said that education is the great engine of personal development, and it is through education that the daughter of a peasant can become a doctor, and the son of a mine worker can become the head of a mine, and that a child of a farm worker can become the president of a nation. It is what we make of what we have, not what we are given. That separates one person from another. So, what is literacy to you guys, and what does it mean? Personally, it means a lot to me. That's why I'm here today. I happen to grow up in a very uncomfortable environment. I come from Kenya, and my name is Salim Kibet. Sorry, I didn't introduce myself earlier. Okay, so um, my dad is a military person, so most of the time he was in missions. So I grew up with my mom, and my mom didn't go to school, so getting education or someone it's hard for someone who has not passed through education to guide you through that same system. So although she was very helping in taking me to school, so I grew up in Kenyan education scheme. You go from primary, which is from standard 1 to standard 8, then you go to secondary school. So I grew up from primary education until I reached class 8, which was well. Now the problem came in when I was joining high school. So in high school, I don't know about you guys, but our high school is high school. It's where you struggle to read. You struggle to read, you struggle for food, you struggle for survival. I don't know if you get my point there. So like, it was it was one of my toughest moments, and it really shaped my life from that point. I grew up to who I am today from the period I stepped out of that school, the 4 years that I passed. So like today, I'm a student at Pioneer International University in Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm taking a degree in international relations and diplomacy. So I don't know about you guys, but the education system today that we have has really changed. It's like the teachers that we have are being taught to teach. It's not about gaining knowledge, gaining skills. It's about going to school to get those degrees. I don't know if you get my point. You go to school just to get the paper so that you can get employed. You're not getting there to get the knowledge. And I always like to quote these two people. When Kofi Annan said that education is the premise of progress in every society and in every family, and literacy is a bridge from misery to hope, it has really changed. You guys know that knowledge is power and information is liberty. And if it is the premise of progress, what progress has it made now? So I think personally in my country, the education system must change from it. It must be amended or something like that. So that's my story on literacy, and thank you guys for commemorating this day.
Thank you, Salim. We have a question from one of our volunteers. So, Salim, you had said Kofi Annan and Nelson Mandela are some of your role models. So,
Yeah.
if Clara, Natalie, and Stanley, if you don't mind telling us who are your role models before we go on to the next speaker. So, Stanley, do you want to tell us who your role models are?
My role models on literacy.
No, Stanley, since you said Kofi Annan and Nelson Mandela are your role models, we wanted to ask Clara, Natalie, and Stanley who are their role models. So, Stanley, do you want to go first?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Who's your role model? Do you have any role model? Who are your role models?
Okay, yeah. Of course, I have many role models because since education, Slim said, the quotation of Nelson Mandela is the greatest weapon to change the world. So Nelson Mandela, I always used to quote him when I teach English in my organization. So Nelson Mandela is one of my role model, and also Barack Obama.
Obama. Could you explain why Obama?
Okay, Obama is the first Black American president, which is
Exactly.
the because that thing has never succeeded in history. So this is the greatest thing that could ever happen. This thing is written in history now. So that's why. And we know that Obama has taught in many universities and also in Harvard. He has been a student and and a teacher. So for that reason, I can say I have many reasons to choose him as a role model.
That's fantastic. And Natalie, Clara, who wants to go next and state their role models? Okay, go ahead, Natalie.
Okay, so I think my role models, well, one of them would be Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was one of the first female congresswomen in America. And she inspires me because of like her resilience, and she's very outspoken as well as advocating her opinions. And I think my second role model would be Zaha Hadid. She's an architect and a well-known female architect. And I really enjoy her style of architecture. Um, and I also really admire her ability to like push the boundaries of what art is and what art can do.
Okay, that's great. And Clara, what about you?
Hi everyone. So my role model is Wendy Kopp, the founder of Teach for All. I really admire how she champions quality education and advocates for education for all. And yeah, how she ensures that every part of the world is involved in championing education. And yeah,
Okay.
among so many
Okay. Thank you, Clara. And so,
Thank you.
you're welcome, Clara. And going back to you, Salim, we have a comment from Leah Sarapir. You had stated that saying that education is a piece of paper. While she said that no, it shouldn't be. So what do you have to say about that?
So yeah, as in
Isn't
always
education more than just a piece of paper?
no, as in people go to school to get those degrees. As in you don't go there to get the skills. That's why when you find out that someone who has studied another course, like let's say someone who has taken let's say something like secretarial studies, is going to work in another organization in another position.
Right.
You see, as in there are a lot of posts, let's say a university that are offering to teach a lot of courses, but why teach a course that there's no market for? You get? So it's not about acquiring the skills, it's all about getting money. Institutions are now there just to get money, they're not there to teach the skills. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you. Okay. Could we have the next panel speaker, please?
So Thank you all for your lovely questions. Please keep them coming in. We will be having a question and answer period if you want to save your questions to the end too, but feel free to use the chat as you'd like. So our next speaker will be Clara.
Clara? Oh, I think she's in, I think, log back into the.
Okay.
So we'll just give a.
In the meantime, does anyone have any more questions? Is she back yet?
Nope, not yet. I think she will
In
join.
the meantime, we can go on to our next speaker.
Okay, we'll.
Oh, wait.
Yeah. She's here, but I don't think she can hear us. Yeah, go ahead. Maybe we'll wait, then
All right.
we'll give Natalie.
So in the meantime, as Claire works on her connectivity, we will be going on to our another speaker of ours, Natalie.
Hi there, everyone. I'm Natalie. First of all, I'd like to give a big thank you to the Lives for Literacy team, Jasmine,
It's our pleasure.
I'm grateful to be a part of it. I'd also like to say, I really enjoyed listening to the other panelists so far and their stories about how literacy has impacted them. So, a bit about me. I am a student. I founded a nonprofit called Project Uni, which serves to bridge the transition between high school and post-secondary students in Canada. So what we do is we interview uni students about their program, campus life, applications, all sorts of things, and then we upload that to create a free resource for students. So if you guys want, I will leave our contact info in the chat.
Yes, please do.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go ahead with kind of the guiding questions. So what is my literacy story? My literacy story is kind of like the classic story. I grew up as a shy kid, and so I turned to books a lot. So yeah, growing up, my parents really emphasized the importance of education and literacy in my life, and they were the first people to read to me and buy me a whole library of books and everything. So that played a huge part in shaping how literacy is a part of my life. And so I continued to be an avid reader throughout middle school and high school. And so some significant points that literacy has played in my life. So I volunteer at my local hospital, and a big thing that we have there is our book sale. So every Thursday we sell books and stuff. And so it's a really great way to interact with the community because all of the volunteers donate their books, and then we sell it to patients, family, and visitors. And another unique point in which I got to see literacy from another side of the world was recently, about a year ago, when my family and I traveled to Turkey. And so we went to a rural town called Anka, where they had recently built a bookstore. And so this was a really unique experience for me because usually living in Canada, when I see kids here, they're excited to go to a toy store or excited to get a Barbie doll or I don't even know Nerf guns. But at this new bookstore, there were so many kids there, and they were so excited just to read, and it was a really unique and profound experience that really shaped how I think about literacy and the importance of it. So yeah, books were always my refuge and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd say the majority of like literacy that I read is um, historical fiction period pieces, um, mostly around World War II and the Holocaust. And the reason that I read these books and I really enjoy them is kind of a personal connection I have. So this particular period of time is really personal for me because my great grandmother lived through the Holocaust, and um, there's like this interesting story in my family that's like related to this. And so I'll give you guys a brief snippet. I don't want to take too much time.
We would love to hear it.
But basically, so my grandmother wasn't Jewish, but her neighbor was. And so growing up, they were like best friends. They did everything together. They shared everything. But when the Holocaust started happening and the pogroms started happening, so basically this was when they were all grown up. They both had families and stuff like that. But when the pogroms started happening, like they were no longer safe. So at first the Gestapo came and they took the father from the family. But then they ended up coming back to take the mother and the children. And so what happened at that time was the mother came to my grandmother and she asked her to hide her children and stuff like that. And so that's what my grandmother ended up doing. She hid their children, um, and she got them like fake papers and everything so that they would be protected from the Gestapo and protected from the concentration camps. And so this story, like I feel like for me, one way that I connect to my great grandmother is through reading these books and kind of it's one thing to learn about it in class and learn about the facts and the history, but it's another thing to really understand the human perspective of what this thing is like. And so that's something that literacy gives to me, is that human connection and feeling like I understand what she went through and I understand her story and that kind of thing. So yeah, so as a student, obviously literacy plays a big role in my life. And yeah, literacy has shaped the person I am today and the person I want to grow up to be in the future. Growing up, I idolized a lot of the characters that I read about, and I aimed to be like them and exemplify who they were through my behaviors and contributions to society. So some characters that influenced me would be like Hermione Granger, obviously, love her. March from Little Women, Katniss Everdeen, my personal favorite, and Scout Finch. Yeah, so the last guiding question, how has COVID-19 impacted your literacy story, or has it? I would say, similar to the other panelists, COVID-19 has impacted the quality of my education. So although I'm extremely grateful that I've been more fortunate than others during quarantine, I will say there is a huge difference for me in online school versus in-person learning, which I think a lot of people can relate to. Um, Especially with learning with literacy, I feel like that in-person component is very necessary to form connections and discuss ideas. So that's one thing I miss, and hopefully we should get back to.
That was amazing, Natalie. Thank you very much.
Yes, Natalie, thank you so much for telling your story. It's so beautiful to hear how you connect to your past through fiction and through literacy.
And Leah Sarapir,
Claire back?
yeah, Claire is back, but Leah Sarapir from the comments said that she loved how Natalie brought up the human connection. It was very beautifully put. So thank you very much, Natalie. Clara is here.
Here? Beautiful. Alright, so our final speaker today will be Clara.
Thank you so much, guys. So sorry, there was an internet disconnection at my place.
No, don't worry.
So sorry. First of all, my introduction is, my name is Clara Omol. I have a background in early childhood education, and yeah, actually it was quite a coincidence I got to do a course, because as Salim has said, in campus we usually find ourselves doing courses that we're not sure if we really want to, and yeah, but with time I really got to have passion for education and children as well. So That's why I'm here actually. So, talking about my literacy education experience, I would say I was privileged to go to um, a good school in primary, because in my school the library was very, very important, like the library lessons. The library teacher used to make sure that every child had a book and was reading. But for me personally, I wasn't really into really reading as much. But my on my parents used to insist on literacy a lot. So with time I got to realize that it was actually important, especially when it came to like doing the national exams for us to now transition to high school. So I got to start loving reading and just looking for books to read, because they would actually influence my understanding for different subjects like science, mathematics, and also creative writing. So that really, literacy really played a huge role in my education and to why I am here today. And also, according to during my experience, really, when I went to when I went to campus, there was a time I had to volunteer into just the low income primary schools in Kenya. And I got to realize that a child in grade 8 couldn't read grade 2 books. And I realized these pupils would really feel um, less confident and left out in class, because anytime I would pick out, I'd ask them to read, they would really shy off, and some would turn them down and say they really don't know how to read. And that really inspired me to take action and try and put them aside and just show them how to read depending on their level. So it has really, really inspired me to be a literacy advocate. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Clara. And thank you, panelists, for your stories. Hearing each and every single one of you all have had unique journeys with literacy, and it has evidently shaped who you are today and who you are trying to be in your community, and how hard you advocate for literacy education and the involvement in your communities is just amazing and exceptional. And I'm so very thankful for each and every single one of you.
Thank you very much.
At this point, thank you. At this point, we are going to move on to a little reflection. So, why are these goals and these stories so important? Looking at COVID-19 in North America, across the world, this crisis will affect already marginalized groups. We have systemic barriers already in place that impact people's ability to gain access to literacy skills and literacy education. And in a crisis like this, where funding is being taken away, where literacy is not really put in any importance in response plans, systemic barriers will grow, and these groups will be less likely to engage in learning. At this point, right now, literacy education hangs in the balance. Students have already been kept in the classrooms, and we look towards our policymakers for guidance and assurance in this unfortunate and uncertain time. Now we would like to throw this out to our beautiful participants, our lovely individuals tuning in today. We would like to know more about your literacy education experience. What do you think you've taken for granted after hearing everyone's stories? How do you think COVID-19 will be impacting you and your education, or even the education for this generation of upcoming students? Please feel free to put your thoughts in the live chat portion of Google Meet, or drop in the chat a quick request to unmute, and Jasmine, we'll let you all speak. So feel free.
Don't be shy. We don't bite.
Hi everyone. Should we type our answer in the chat box?
No, you can say it out loud.
Okay. First, I present myself. I am Bamba Yaba Solomarius. I am from Cote d'Ivoire, a French-speaking country. So I speak French and English now. I am currently in India, in New Delhi. I am studying Bachelor of Technology in Computer Engineering. I'm in third year. And about literacy, I can say that one of the biggest role that literacy has played in my life was to allow me to get a scholarship to come here in India, because if I couldn't read, could have not get the good marks back home, and also applied for this scholarship to come here, because these are very competitive scholarships that they're giving in different countries. And also, I think that literacy has helped me to reach out to people, to be able, like, okay, she has put Project Uni, Kin, yeah, Natalie Kin, as she said. She's able to connect with people, and yeah, being able to read about how to connect with people has helped me also to be more, I can say, more diplomatic in the way of interpersonal relationship with people, because sometimes if the approach is difficult, I mean, if you are not good in interpersonal relationship, it's difficult sometimes to reach out to someone and be able to get out the most of your relationship. So yeah, that's one part that trust has played in my life. And if I want to come to what I've taken for granted, I will say maybe when I read about, I think it's Stanley who said in IT, someone has to be lucky to have literacy. So I was like, wow, this is very, I mean, it was shocking for me, because I couldn't imagine that this happened in country, but more especially in IT. So when I see that, I can say I have taken for granted the fact of being able to read and not read as many books as possible. Even, okay, nowadays I'm reading more because I think when you look at the people who have shaped the world, who have changed a lot of things in the world, who brought some disruption in technology, disruption in, uh, we have the different type of revolution in industrial revolution and all. When I look at example like Albert Einstein in science, Isaac Newton and all, I think it's because of literacy that we were able to do all this change and to bring all this that we have today through professors and all. So yeah, I'm reading more, and because I think I've taken it for granted, so I'm reading more nowadays. And I think it's, you can see different inspiration, and for you, for me also, to be able to achieve something in my life, to give something that will be good for the world also. Yeah, that's what I can say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to say something? Yes, go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name is Rajalya Acharya. I am from Nepal. Between China and India, and it is the birthplace of. I am currently difficult student. Um, the question here was, do you think you have taken for granted what you've received? Yes, very much, especially during the COVID situation. It's been 6 months since they started the schools and colleges, everything which goes in the country. It is adversely affected the education system. It is adversely economy of my country, especially my country is a developing country. And I think we have taken the education that we have been receiving, we have taken for granted because we do not have the access to it. And how do you think COVID will be impacting the education? I think that if if this phase continues in my country, we will not have the access to education, a quality education, I would say. It will be affecting everyone, not just a college student, but even from the grassroots level, for example, the, the children in the schools from class of upper KG, whatever it may be, it will be affecting the education and the upcoming generation.
Thank you for your reflection. That was lovely. Anybody else who'd like to speak?
I'd also like to add something.
Of course.
Okay, so I lead a group, an organization here in Kenya known as Rero Kenya. And when COVID 19 started and school was shut down, we started a mission of distributing revision materials to students. So, as we are on the field distributing these materials, we discovered that, leave alone literacy, we are moving on a digital world. So, apart from people who are illiterate, imagine in a group of like 40 students, only one was able to switch on a laptop, let alone using it, just switching it on. And like two or three could say that this is a laptop or this is a computer. So, you guys can tell me if what 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 do you think is the solution to this thing, as in, because it really it really is a huge problem.
Your question is about technology or like just literacy for technology. I didn't get your point, Salim. Please.
I'm saying, if we are fighting literacy now and the world is moving on a digital world, digital generation, we have not solved the problem of literacy and we have moved on to a digital world. Like now we are able to communicate via digitally. So now, if we haven't solved that problem and we have moved on, we are leaving footprints that cannot be unmarked. So we need to create solutions to impact those first who are illiterate in the area of reading and writing, and then create another solution now to impact the solution to impact the revolution of digital age. So a lot must be done. That's why I'm asking for your opinions.
Okay, I get your point. So for me, in this case, it's about using technology to raise awareness about literacy. Because we have like number of people, like billions of people, literally who have like access to smartphones, and if we have billions of people also who have access to Facebook, for example. Like the statistics of Facebook are astonishing, and so I think using this disruptive technology is should be a way to reach people. Like you see, for example, to create a page on Facebook as of now, it's free, right? Okay, free as in free. even if it's not totally free. But let's take it as it's free, and you create a page, and you can raise awareness through this kind of technology. Because if you want to reach people, for example, let's say in Kenya, you have your organization and you want to raise awareness about, let's say, literacy. If you personally you want maybe to meet the minister of education in your country, I'm not sure that you will get access to him maybe in 1 month or 2 months. I'm not sure that even in 1 year you'll be able to meet him once. It's very difficult. We all know that, right? So, and more again, you are young and all this thing, So, let's imagine that you create a page, you have for example, a Facebook page, and you start having, you do the work until you get like 1 million followers. When you reach that level, you get attention, and deciders know that your voice can count. Like in just one post, you can reach, let's say, 1 million people. Like this now, people pay attention to you. So using this kind of disruptive technology can help you to reach easily decision maker, policy makers, politicians, because they are the one deciding about what should be the next step for our education. Even if you at your level you try to do great thing and all, yes, you will do it, but at a certain point you are stuck, because when you want to bring change in your education system at your level is very difficult, but you need the cooperation so that it becomes easier for you. In this case, I think using technology is a way forward to reach people about it, to raise awareness and then reach literacy. Then now, when people know how to read, you go to the second phase where you have now to teach them about technology, about how they can use it to succeed in life, how they can use it to gain skills, how they can use it to connect with people. Like for example, today you, as you said, the example is we are on Google Meet. We have people from different countries here, different beautiful people. You can connect with them through different means. So yeah, that's the thing. But it's first, our step is to use what is available. I like to say personally, when you don't have, use what you have. So let's say you don't have the opportunity to reach, for as of now, ministers of your country. You don't have now the opportunity to reach policymakers, but you have the opportunity, for example, to get connected to Facebook. So that's what you have. So create a page which is free, get some skills about social media marketing, get some skills about video editing, get some skills about advertisement, how to do advertisement, how to reach more people. Like for example, on Facebook, one of the way to advertise is like you go from your page, you invite your friends. After inviting your friend, now you can even sponsor your page so that you reach a certain audience. And then from this audience now, like the audience is not you who reach the audience. You sponsor your page, and yeah, Facebook will just show to the people who meet the requirement that you have given from your page. So when you reach more people, of course, like for you to have all these people, you have to put some excellence so that people know that you are doing a good work and you get more followers. And then from there, yeah, you continue and you can raise awareness. Yeah, thank you.
I'll just read some
Thank you.
comments from the chat. So Liliani says, I think I've taken many things for granted, like access to free libraries all over my area and education. Muhammad Al Sakaf says, literacy is second life added to your life, so that you have many lives in one body. Leah Sarah Peter says, I think we never really had a time to reflect on education, at least me personally. But literacy and education open up doors. Knowing how to read and write allows you to meet others, advocate, and be a change maker in society. There are so many things we take for granted, and taking this moment to reflect, education has made me who I am. And our role should be to assure the next generation overcomes the barriers of education in order to create a sustainable future for humanity. Stanley has stated, COVID-19 has definitely affected the teachers all around the world, mostly teachers in Haiti due to the lack of digital accessibility. Many teachers found themselves out of work. Yeah, so Stanley, could you tell us more about the teachers in Haiti, how they are feeling, and how COVID has impacted them more so?
Please come again.
Could you tell us more about the teachers in Haiti?
Oh,
Teaching.
okay, sorry. I think the question is for me, right?
Yes. Could you tell us more about the teachers in Haiti?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Teaching in Haiti is um, not something easy. Well, as you know that there are not many schools. There aren't many schools, and the school that we have, only they have less teacher teaching in them, and most schools, some okay, we have the private school and the public school. The mostly the public school are high schools where but sometimes the problem is that they lack supplies.
Stanley?
Did the internet cut out or is audio?
I think so, probably.
Well, if anything, if he is able to access the live chat, he can always drop his answer in there.
Okay. Azra said something very nice. She said, I think the golden rule is to learn to pass something, to be able to pass it down to someone because not everybody can enter university or afford technology. This is something that we keep ignoring, but it's a truth. So basically, she's saying that passing down something is very important. And I know majority of us are here students, so we wanted to know, like, how has COVID impacted you? And so, do we have anyone that wants to say something? But how has COVID affected your life? Do you miss in lecture teachings, in lecture classes? Like,
Can I?
yes, go ahead.
Okay. I think this will be like, I'm sorry if this sounds very insensitive for everyone, but like for me, COVID, because of the lockdown, it actually helps me to like be be more mentally aware and like be like actually like remove all the stress that I've like currently, because when COVID started like arousing, I'm like don't I don't want to like read different sites because I know it will affect me mentally.
Right.
So I stopped reading it and I'm just like focus on one thing. And um I also volunteered to a non-profit organization which also helps me. So like for me it's very like a breather per se, 'cause for students like in general, like for students who like having transitional problems, because I had experienced that. It was more of like, wow, like you've gotta like be in the center of yourself, be in the center of like which path you're taking. So for me, it actually positively affected me. But like it's very hard for people who who have experienced it. And another thing is like because of COVID, other people became more they became more like, oh, I don't like they became more racist, especially in the beginning. They're like, I don't want to be with friends with like Chinese people or something because they're the one who's like, and then now you'll know which people who to avoid, especially like if you have friends that are having strong opinions about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Do you have any more comments in the chat, or should we move on?
They're wanting to know, yeah, we'll be posting the recording on our social media platforms and also on YouTube especially. So if you want to go back and hear it all, be free to. Then, yeah, we can move on.
Okay, perfect. So at this point, we all had submitted some questions that you might want to ask our panelists. So we do have a few listed here that admin will moderate for me.
For sure.
So if anyone wants to go ahead, why is this movement to eradicate illiteracy important to you?
Yeah, can I go ahead?
Go ahead.
Of course.
Okay. For me, this matter of literacy is a daily problem, is a daily issue that can it's something that affects our life every day. Because, for example, let's say like we are in the case of COVID period. So, let's say, can you imagine? I saw it today. I was watching something and someone said, "Can you imagine yourself not being able to read in this period of COVID-19?" I will say also, can you imagine yourself not being able to read and find yourself in an environment where people are maybe planning something against you and they are saying it openly? So this is something that uh, uh, eradicating to eradicate illiteracy is very important for everyone. We are still talking about developing countries, developed countries, because of the same level of, I mean, same problem of literacy. Recently, I was doing a hackathon where uh, it was Act for Africa, a Microsoft challenge, and in the statistics they gave that 65% of uh, people in Africa are illiterate. So 65% is literate, and so we needed to use technology to reach the level of 100%. So that means 35%, but this is a huge number. Can you imagine all these people who are not able to read? For example, in my country we speak French, but there are some local languages. If someone is not even able to read, how will we be able even to speak in English? Because to go to, let's say, any international level nowadays, you need to understand English. If you don't understand English, how will you be even able to have an international business, international communication? For example, the language of the pilot in aviation is English. The most spoken language in business is English. But if you are not even able to read, for example, in my country in French, how will you even try to read the English? So, yeah, for me, it's very crucial for someone to be able to read so that he can achieve something big in life. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Does anybody else want to answer this question, or should we move on?
May I say something?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Yes, hi. My name is Ali, and if you guys don't know, I'm a psychology student, and I'm from Iran. So, but I'm friend with Yasmin. She knows me. We were studying at Concordia for almost a year. I was studying biology. For this question, I think we should look at illiteracy in different levels. The level I want to look at it, it's mental health. And when I look at people I'm surrounded with, they're not much aware of their mental situation, and it's an important thing right now during Corona pandemic. And like with illiterate people in this level, we cannot have like motivated society probably, if we say, and we need people who can like uh, get their teams together and just uh, start moving. It's like if you want to just sleep, if you want to just watch movies, it's like okay, so what's the point? We should find a way to motivate people. We should find a way to use their passion. It's like I think Corona was a good thing for introverts. They're like, okay, so no one wants me to go to school. I can just sit, watch TV, and don't touch anyone. And but for extroverts like me, uh, it's frustrating. And yeah, and we should like talk to people, tell them that you guys gotta read, you guys gotta do something. We always we were complaining about not having enough time, and right now we have enough time, but still we're like wasting our time. We're just sitting and doing nothing. And in this level, it's for me it's important to raise awareness about mental health in especially my society, because I now I'm seeing people who are suffering from this, and not much to say. So
Thank you very much,
Thank
Ali.
you.
Natalie,
Moving.
we have a question for Natalie. Isabel. Isabel says, can you tell us more about Project Uni? What do you specifically help out with high school students?
Yeah, sure. So let me tell you a bit about like why I created it and how. So during quarantine, I noticed that like me and my peers, we were all kind of stressed out about what university and college admissions are going to look like this year. You know, like would we be able to tour campuses? Would university fairs be happening? And so a lot of these questions were circling around, and I noticed that the majority of the time, my friends and I, if we ever needed advice on university, especially in Canada, we would turn to Reddit or Quora. But also the thing is that these answers are often outdated, inaccurate, or don't really apply to Canadian universities. So I kind of thought to myself, like, why does this have to be so hard? Like, how can I fix this problem? And so I took matters into my own hand and I created Project Uni. And so we're trying to empower high school students during the Canadian post-secondary admissions process. And so over the past month-ish, I've interviewed 70 students from 20 different universities and colleges across Canada, and we tried to compile a collection of free advice, information, and resources on campus life, academics, accessibility. And then on our blog, we talk about like how to craft your first resume or how to build your personal brand and that kind of thing. So yeah, I just want to help students like myself be better informed as we make one of the biggest decisions of our lives. And hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much, Natalie. Does anybody else have any other questions?
If anyone has any other questions, we could completely move forward to our live Q&A.
Yeah, Sian, I think Someone wants to answer the previous question, like the read asked.
Oh, you want to answer
But
the
he
previous
has
question?
he's having network problems now. Okay, I think he's you can go ahead and speak some. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so hi guys. So hi everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me guys?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So I want to answer this question which was asked, why is this movement to Iran? Yeah, okay. Yeah, the question was, why is this movement to eradicate illiteracy important to you? Okay, so first of all, I just want to share with you my experience. So when I grew up, right, I was not someone who was into reading books that much. Like, I didn't find that fascinating to read books and everything like that, you know. As boys, you always want to play something else other than reading. And if I tell you that first novel when I was 16 years and I was doing my finals, that, and I think most of you guys, the book, again for those literature. And after that, was someone who was into any extracurricular activities. I started to put in things. So what happened? Every time I wanted to construct, let's say, I would get back and be able to correct word wanted to use so that I could express my thoughts clearly. So each time, go and fetch, check the meaning of words from A to Z. Each time you're looking for that correct word so that at least you can express your thoughts. People may have that understanding of it. And you know, oftenly doing, like, I actually, it was because I haven't been someone so much into reading some of these words, general words, but I wasn't doing these words because I've been much into reading. So with these, who are extracurricular activities with those essay stuff, you know, you could actually see their progress, they would write their essays, you know. So I told myself the best to improve, start reading the essays of those guys who
Connectivity.
I think it's the internet connection.
Oh, okay. That was still a beautiful response.
Yes, I agree.
So if we have a few more questions lined up, but in the sake of time, if anyone has any more questions they would like to ask our specific panelists, we can move on to our live Q&A portion. If you would like, please drop so in the chat so Yasmin could just tell me to move the slide.
Okay, you can move the slide.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Here we go. Any more questions? If you would like to ask us, the live literacy executive, or our panelists, feel free to chat with us by asking your question in the live chat or turning on your mic.
And when you do turn it on your mic, please introduce yourselves and tell us where you're from.
Okay, should I introduce myself again?
Sure, if you want to.
Okay, I'm Bamba Yaba. I'm from Ivory Coast. I'm currently in India. My question is to the executive of Life for Literacy. I want to know, since you are here now, what is the plan to raise awareness about literacy? What is the way forward?
Well, we have many things installed. So thankfully, we have like more than 100 volunteers from 40 plus countries. So without you, we wouldn't be possible. So right now we have blogs, we have stats, we have translations going on. We'll be getting in touch with organizations. So then we'll be having another event coming up soon. So yeah, and if you guys have any work, please submit it. And yeah, does Sian or Kelly, do you want to speak?
Sure, on my side, in terms of advocating, I want to keep rolling with all of these incredible events. We have planned educational events, guest lectures, things like that, to increase awareness, share stories, learn from people's experiences. That's really what the plan is in terms of events for the next couple of while.
Do you plan in the long range to reach policymakers first in Canada and like after in different countries?
Yes, we do have plans on that, and we'd also like to have people like you with policies come and help us on board. So if you're more than happy to do that, shoot us an email and we'll have you. Yeah. Any other questions?
Do you have anything in the chat?
Nope.
Do we have any other questions for our panelists? Anything that you want to hear about?
Do any of you want to have any future collaborations with us? So if you guys do, just send us an email at livesfromleprosy@gmail.com. We'd be more than happy to collaborate.
At this time, if there are no more questions, we will be moving forward and start to wrap up our lovely panel today. So now, before we send you guys off, you all have some incredible questions about what you're going to expect from us, but we want to tell you more about that as well. So, as you know, we are an educational organization. What can you expect from us? Educational resources on literacy and global education. We want to keep going with education style events and education oriented. Probably some guest lectures. Keep your eyes on that. And possibly an online book club in terms of awareness. We want to start spreading that kind of material around. So please feel free to drop your emails into our live chat function. Look out for emails. We would love to have you again. And to all our future panelists, at this time, I would like to offer you the opportunity to put out anything about your organizations into the live chat, your Instagram handles, if you'd like to take a minute to talk about them. I would like to extend this opportunity to you right now. Feel free.
Okay, before we go, I'd like to take a picture of all of you guys. So that'll be good. Just hang on.
Stanley said he had something he wants to include
Stanley,
in comment.
what would you like to say then?
Hello guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. Now, as a as a concluding comment, I want to say that now we know that education, literacy, is a human right, and every time we will see someone in the streets or whenever we see children in the streets and they don't know how to read, so their right, we have to know that their rights have been violated. And now, what can we do? We have to act. We don't have to be afraid. And action doesn't necessarily mean that we have to take the streets. We have to smashing everything. So we can come with awareness program like this. This is an awareness program, and I congratulate all the team of Live for Literacy for that webinar, for that meeting to talk, to discuss on that on the day of International Literacy. So those kind of problem, those kind of action, we need that. We need them. And action can take many forms, both on personal and collective level. We don't need to wait for governments or any other people to take action in our place. We can do it. We can take action. And this is we really need to find within ourselves our true motivation to produce change and to require it. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley.
Thank you, Sally. That was absolutely wonderful.
Hi guys. Hello.
Hello,
Hi,
Clara.
Clara.
Hi. I'd like to make a comment. So I totally agree with Sian. I hope I pronounced the name properly. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, small actions actually count. You don't have to be a leader to make a difference. As in, it's just passion. It's what passion really drives a lot of change. If you're really passionate about something, use it to make a difference in the society. What I'd say, I would like to shed some light on literacy, depending on the kind of literacy we expose our children to. Does it have diversity? Is it representing everyone? Like a disabled child? Does the stories that we are writing, do they represent every child depending on their background and their race, whether they're able or disabled? I would say we really need to have literacy that is more diverse and inclusive, and also shed some light on quality education, not just education, but quality education that will guide us through the path of careers, and just education that is really touching our lives. And because I would say in Kenya, the main issue that we have is we just go to school and we just study the basics, but when you leave school you actually realize, oh my god, I don't know what career I want to choose. What do I want to do with my life? Like this, we really need to nurture children from below. Yeah, that's what I would like to say. And thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Clara.
Okay, can I just compliment to what Clara was saying?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so just taking from where I come from, in Zimbabwe, the major problem we are facing is that people take education as a measure of success. What do I mean by this? What I'm trying to say is that, if people are only concentrated on getting exceptionally high grades, and if someone doesn't doesn't get those high grades or anything, then their self-esteem is lowered, and they actually think that maybe they are not going to be successful in life. So at that point, someone drops off education and erases everything that he or she had acquired from education. And you discover that in a moment of time to come, that person is now indulged in drug abuse, and maybe he or she wandering in the street without any specific which he is doing. So at least if you are to get on with the movement, we are able to educate those who are close as much as we can. At least we are doing early, so we're trying to meet all areas so that people are educated and people are enlightened to know that education is not a measure of success, just a foundation required so that you're able to use your skills, benefit, also benefit those around you. So that's what education be taken as, so that at least if you fail to get high grades in school, to appreciate the beauty of education, you use it in sport and still use it anyway. Choose you to have good conduct with understanding how to think and much more to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well said. So at this time, if there are no more questions or comments, we will begin to wrap up. On behalf of the entire team at Lives Literacy, I would just like to take this moment to thank you all for your lovely comments, your reflections, your discussions, and of course to our wonderful panelists who shared their stories, their life stories, and their journeys in literacy with us today. And without any of you here, this movement, this event, what we're here to do would not be possible. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so, so much.